about 3 minutes ago. Thank
Why
you.
can't they say we'll just take the deer trail around?
Ready at the table?
Sure. Yeah.
All right, it is 6 o'clock. I'm gonna go ahead and get out my agenda and then call this, meeting to order. Tuesday, May 12th, City Council. If you would all begin by joining me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Lonnie, could we get a roll call, please?
Westwood,
Here.
Battle,
Here.
Daniels. Here. Davis,
Here.
Browning,
Yes.
Reed. Yes. Stevens.
All right, so we have 5 council members here. The rules remain consistent. Anything that passes requires 4 votes. Resolutions and ordinances require 4 votes, so that does not change just because our numbers change. I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
I move to adopt the agenda as presented. I will second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Ronning, a second from Councilmember Daniels. Discussion at the table. I don't think we have any surprises, so. Hearing none, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Battle,
Sorry, yes.
Daniels.
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Browning,
Yes.
Reed. Yes.
All right, 5-0, the motion passes. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the April 28th meeting. Thank you, Lonnie, for your preparation on those.
I move to approve the minutes of April 28th, 2026. I will second.
Motion from Councilmember Ronning, second from Councilmember Daniels. Discussion at the table, please. Hearing none, can we get a roll call vote?
Battle,
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Browning,
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
5-0, the motion passes. I'll entertain a motion on warrants payable.
I move to approve warrants payable in the amount of $811,637.66.
Whatever you would make.
I will second that.
I have a motion from Councilmember Ronning, a second from Councilmember Daniels. Discussion at the table.
So 611, almost 612,000 of that was out of the water department, and most of it was for COP Construction for their 5th payment on the 16-inch bypass. Is
Yeah,
that
and I
correct?
think that's pretty much the last of them. There might be more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also paid, the other one was a water bond that we paid in the amount of $239,000. So those combinations equal the 611. So other than that, most everything else was in line with what we normally see every month. And did you have anything to add?
I have nothing to add.
Okay.
I'd just like to give a shout out and thank you to Councilmember Rood and Councilmember Ronning for taking the time to do those today and go through those. All right. Any other discussion at the table? Hearing none, can I get a roll call, please?
Battle,
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Browning,
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
5-0, motion carries. All right, mayor's business summaries. Couple of shout outs. First, I want to congratulate Willie from our Public Works Department. He got his CDL. So that helps us have a deeper bench, which is always nicer when it comes to snowstorms or unplanned disasters or all sorts of surprises that come up. That gives him the ability to jump in and be part of operate some heavy equipment that he couldn't before. I also want to throw out a congratulations to Chief Webb, and if some of you haven't heard me use those terms before, Officer Webb from the Red Lodge Police Department, and I'll come back to that, is now the police chief in Bridger. And while we're sad to see him go, I will tell you from a general management philosophy, I am always totally okay with losing people out the top because it means there's always a really good backfill funnel available to do that. You will still see Jordan around. He is still on our staff. He is listed, he is transitioned to the, we have a part-time, that's kind of an on-call position that's in our budget. So we will still be able to use him to fill in as we have people on vacations or other things that come up.
For how long?
It does not have a time limit. So it's a budgeted position we have there.
Okay.
It is worth noting that we do have a vacancy now in a budgeted position for a full-time officer. In addition to that, we have a resolution and direction from staff that we will maintain our core officers of 7 officers. Having said that, we have not positioned that post, we have not listed that posting yet. We are at the beginning of May, so we are officially into budget season, and I'm still looking forward to sitting down and having a conversation with Lonnie and Chief Schrock, where we kind of look at the budget and go from there. And then as council is well aware, we're also looking at some other measures to help us make sure that our budget is good and solid this year and into the future. Approved events, the Spring Fling Carnival. So this is the carnival is coming back to town. It is going to be May 20th to 23rd this year. So we're talking like week after next. They're going to be doing it over in Rodeo Park, and I use quotes there because we haven't officially named it Rodeo Park yet, but I think everybody knows where we're talking about that. They are aware of the quiet hours. They actually have that space reserved from the 18th through the 24th for setup and tear down. And so they are working with the county and the Rodeo Association and the airport because they're in proximity of all of those and just from a logistics standpoint. Also, and I deleted the date here, even though I had it down. I want to say September 6th. I see members in the audience. The Wings and Wheels is, does September 6th sound right? I had it and erased it. It's, so if it's wrong, I'll.
When is Labor Day?
It's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday Labor Day weekend.
The Sunday of Labor Day weekend.
That's the 6th.
So September 6th. Yeah, it was there, and I don't know when I erased it. It's probably down in another spot of the notes there, from 8 until 11. So those have been approved in the pipeline, but not approved. There's an archery camp going to be in late June over at the Not Good baseball field. I use the quotes because those are not my words. And then we've also got the 4th of July stuff. We are working with both the parade folks for the Civic Center. They have a land use permit in. And then also the rodeo folks have a land use permit in for the parking up above. There were several years where it was kind of grandfathered in, or it was forbidden to bring it up at council meetings, but they're following the same process as everybody else. They are bringing in the extra restrooms and stuff for that weekend. You may recall we did an emergency, spent some money as a city last year because that hadn't been addressed. I feel like we're much better ahead of things.
A lot of people in town that weekend.
Say again?
There's a lot of people in town that weekend. We need extra porta potties downtown.
Yeah, so we'll have those. Also, worth noting is there is, and I apologize, I don't have the name in front of me. There is a fairly wide, like it's limited to this planet, but there's a peace run and a group that puts together that is doing a run across, a torch run basically across the United States. And of all the days they happen to be in Red Lodge, it's the 4th of July. So we have them in touch with the rodeo crew, and we'll figure out how to kind of incorporate that, include that in that. That's kind of a fun. When I was talking to the gentleman, it's like, did you plan this or did you just get lucky? Because this is the right place to be for the 4th of July.
I have a question about, has the wildlife sanctuary been advised there'll be archers in their backyard?
They have not been advised yet. we can let them know. It's actually quite a way, well, yeah, so it's the same place it's been in years past.
I think it's a courtesy to tell them, that some of these archers might be bad archers.
So
I think they
noted.
usually shoot the late.
I got kids.
They normally aim at home plate, so it's okay, it'll only be people.
I think it's a nice courtesy.
Yeah. Well, we try to keep them posted, just as, of everything we can down there, so that is appreciated.
Your son.
Also in the pipeline, not related to land use, and maybe we can talk about this a little bit when we get to the main agenda, to admin and finance, but workers' comp, the program that we've been involved with MMIA, they are discontinuing that, so they are no longer doing that. And so, in the work session of the agenda next week, we'll have that in. We'll need to get that passed before July as our deadline, but Lonnie's got that ready to go. So anticipate seeing that in the admin. If you'd add that to your notes for next time, and then we'll have it below the fold, as we like to call it up here. The Brownsfield presentation stuff is all from the meeting at the Roosevelt, is all up on the webpage for those who are interested. The Parks Board met last week. You have a letter from Roger Mollendorf in your packet that basically they made the recommendation that City Council go ahead and take up and consider that. I will tell you that there are the final documents, agenda and stuff are not done and drawn up yet. They're looking at still tweaking the boundary a little bit to accommodate wider switchbacks at the top of that trail. And there's going to be two parts of this. There's a part I think that is going to be along appropriately on admin, because it's basically accepting a donation. There's another part of that is going to be land use, which is, well, because the same reason we sent it to Parks, it's a city land use. And speaking with Mike, he felt that probably the best steps going forward is for the city to go ahead and accept that land as a donation. And so we'll work on the language to do that and build into that some language that basically says we have a time frame, whether it be 3 years or 5 years, to get that trail built. Otherwise it reverts back. And then once it is city land, they can go in and do a full engineering study and bring an engineer in to tell us what that trail looks like. He did not feel comfortable going in and doing an engineering study, didn't think it was appropriate to be doing that on land that wasn't ours yet, and that's how his recommendation of how to handle that was. So I anticipate we'll see that on the standing committee meetings for land use and also for admin. Thoughts or questions on that? And then we can talk about it later during that as well. So, pool status. There's a hopefully when we get to the standing committees, we can talk about how we would like to handle the Monday that's 2 weeks from yesterday, the Monday before council meeting, which is also known as Memorial Day this next time around. And so as we get to that portion of the agenda, let's talk about, I know some of the committees talked about just canceling agenda meetings and making sure we're ready to go. They could be moved earlier, as was done with one meeting this last time, or they could all be moved to Tuesday for a one-time, but I'll let council make those decisions. Public Works, lots of water leaks, not related, but keeping our folks busy. There are water projects, stormwater projects, and wastewater projects that are all in the pipeline. Continue to check the website. We are keeping those posted. The wastewater has a pre-bid meeting on Thursday, and we have that in the work session of the meeting tonight with a lot of fill in the blanks, because we won't have that information until after the bids are opened and we go from there. Public pool scheduled to open Saturday, June 6th. That's the first Saturday after school is out. It's going to be longer hours in response to public input, particularly the lap swimmers want to be getting in there earlier. And if it's cold and they don't want to show up, that's fine, but we're going to be doing the longer hours. We are pretty set on as far as lifeguards go. We do still have an opening for a pool house manager. So that is running the building, not the lifeguard. So that person does not need to be a lifeguard. They will need to get their CPR. Everybody who's working at the pool is going to have their CPR, and they will need to become a certified pool operator. In the interim, Willie is a certified pool operator, so we're covered there. And a couple of our lifeguards have injuries that are going to put them in a position not safe to be lifeguards the first week or two, but they have said they would be happy to help run the pool house. So I do not anticipate any delays in getting the pool open. But if you see folks that would like to be involved with the pool, but they've always said, well, but I can't be a lifeguard or I don't, then guess what? We have a position so that they can do that. Public health and safety, just for an awareness, we have Naughty Bear in the northeast corner of town. I would highly encourage people carry their bear spray if you're walking around in that corner. They're trying to get tabs on it and find out patterns and if they can and chase them away. But just to make the public aware of that. And the Bear Aware meeting is actually at 2:00 this Wednesday, so tomorrow at the library, for those who are interested in going to those. I will add, for those who may not have noticed, that Sylvan Peak now has bear spray rentals. There's a rental company. For years, there was a question about how to approach that legally. And so there was another outside, I think it's the People and Carnivores group or one of those other groups that has a wider mission and has set it up. And not only that, you can pick it up in Red Lodge and then drop it off in Livingston or West Yellowstone.
Awesome.
So it's corners all there. So if you have people come in and asking, you can always point them there, as well as to any of the places that sell it. And we've coordinated with all of those too. So they were all on board. All of them viewed it as an ad, not a takeaway from business. Just kind of some other exciting stuff. You may have seen a trolley, like a horseless trolley, parked in town. We have discussions going on. I anticipate that you're going to have the regular trolley, which is planning on doing tours, and the horse carriage, which they also call that a trolley. So there's a horseless trolley and a horse-pulled trolley that are both going to be in town this year. So that's kind of fun and exciting. And then just a reminder that I am out of town next week at the resort tax meeting up in Columbia Falls. Just by way of information, there's no charge to the city for that. I'm just taking it as vacation time and going to attend those meetings up there. And if there's anybody else on the resort tax meeting who wants to go under those same terms, they're welcome. I know Tom was planning on going and then had to adjust plans, so he'll be attending remotely, and hopefully you're our representative there if you can attend remotely on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Okay. I don't think I'm actually on. Okay.
You're not resort, who's our resort
Well, yeah,
tax
I am.
council member?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant on
And
that.
anybody tied with our resort tax is welcome to sit in on it. Anybody on the resort tax board.
Do you have to have a code to listen? Because I think a lot of citizens would be interested in this. Do you have to have a special combo to get in there?
It's not my meeting, so I can't answer that question. It's a resort tax association meeting. They're going to be talking about exciting things like legislative. Yeah, it's a statewide meeting, so we're just going as a representative. So, yeah, I don't think it's a public meeting, but anybody on the resort tax committees I know have been invited.
And the meetings are Tuesdays and Thursdays?
I don't have the exact dates. Okay. There's some on Tuesday and some on Wednesday.
I'm sure I got the email. I'll see if I can squeeze in a meeting or two, but.
I think that's everything I have there. Any questions from the table? Councilmember,
when is the $1 million vacuum truck going to make its appearance in Red Lodge?
I can tell you where it is right now. I saw it this morning.
Is it vacuuming?
It was. So if you go up to, so go up and turn off of 78 onto Cole Drive, take the first right, which is, look at my EMS, remember something, it's a weird name that's there, and you will see it, and it is It puts the fire trucks to shame, in my humble opinion.
Why
It
is
is,
it on a road
Sewer
with,
truck.
with 3 houses?
because there was also a 6,000-foot swimming pool. They're fixing, it's one of those water leaks they're fixing, and the whole road was underwater,
So they're sucking up the water.
so that they can fix the leaks.
Well, I'm glad we got our $1 million vacuum.
And this morning, by the way, the water was gone when I was up there, but over the weekend, it was not. It has been used, reportedly, it has been used daily. So
Wow.
it is getting its use, but, that's where it was this morning if you want to go see it.
I'd like to know where it's gonna be every day. Because.
Public Works would probably like to know that in
Town-
advance.
town
Follow under
looks
the rug, yeah. For,
Dirt, gravel.
That's the
think you
sweeper.
mean the
I'm
sweeper,
thinking of
yeah,
the
yeah.
sweeper, because the back.
The back truck is for sucking up water from sewer and water
Okay,
in
when's
halls.
the sweeper gonna make
okay, I'm like,
When it's dry.
It's like a wet, dry back.
So,
Oh, my God.
okay.
Road.
No, so noted, yeah, no, the vacuum truck is for water and sewer. Sorry.
And so, yeah, you're thinking of the street.
Okay, well, the
sweeper.
I
sweeper
would've
needs to
thought the
make an
same
appearance soon. It looks bad, I
I-
think.
So noted.
I think all the street guys have been working on all the water leaks all over town,
Yeah.
but
I
So-
get that.
sure, it will be on our
Town
public,
looks bad.
it will be on
It
Memorial
will,
Day.
and the state is kind of, and one of the things is it does have to be dry for a few days to do it, or it gums those machines up too. All right, other questions from the table? All right, hearing none, let's get on to the rest of our agenda. So the first thing we have is public comment. I will point out that the instructions for public comment are on the back, some notes. This is the first of a few public comments you'll have. One is at the beginning of the meeting, which you can discuss anything before the council's purview. There's also one at the end of the meeting where you can discuss anything at council's purview. Also, for those items listed under action items on number 9, we will always take public comment on a per item basis. So if your comment is related to either of those specifically, I would encourage you to consider waiting and having the comments at that point. Otherwise, with that, we will go ahead and start the timer and open public comment. Looking first to the room. If you'd please come forward and state your name in your loud outside voice, you have 3 minutes.
Steve Smith. I'm not representing any organization other than my own. But I was just curious, why do we no longer have to state our address when we come up to make public comments? Aren't you curious if we live within the city or out of the city?
So from a public comment standpoint, this is your chance to be heard. At the end of public comments, council or mayor may
Thank you very much.
respond. Thank you, Steve. Other public comments? Hearing no public comments in the room, let's go to online. Any public comments online? Calling for public comments twice. Public comments 3 times. We'll go ahead and close the public comments, and before we bring back to the table, I would like to take just an opportunity to answer one of the questions we heard during public comments. This has been something that's come up from legal as to whether we could or could not, and the advice has been we ought not to be asking for it, so we haven't done that. As far as the question of do we care if somebody's in the city, I think it can factor into things, but the public is the public. So we will listen to all comments from all the public. So even if you were from Billings, we would let you speak. If we didn't recognize you, we'd probably notice we didn't recognize you.
But it makes no, our residence makes no difference.
It is no longer a required element for public comments based on legal opinions at many levels of input. Any other comments from the table?
When did we decide that?
The-
Because it was like
Well,
just a month ago we were asking
no,
for.
because we did have it in our minutes and we did comment on it. Because when we made up our minutes, it doesn't say and address there.
I don't remember discussing it. What was the main rationale for?
The main rationale was Dan Clark said, don't do that. Our city attorney said, you can't do that. There was a whole bunch of you can't do that and you shouldn't do that.
I wonder if it's a security thing.
I think that's one of the concerns that has been raised at every conference I've heard on that.
Yep.
And it's certainly one of those things when we get, if, it'll come up during admin. So,
So
go ahead.
I could see, stating your full address, but I mean, if people want to say, I live in the city of Red Lodge, then they can say that.
We're not gonna block
We're
them
not
from
gonna-
saying
yeah,
that. We just
we're not
don't, we
gonna stop
just don't require, we don't say you don't get to speak unless you tell us your address.
Or you can say, Jody, I'm in Ward 3, listen to me. So,
And I remember having this conversation when we had back at the beginning of the year, when we were talking about our rules and procedures, because it was one of those things that I think we took out of the rules and procedures. But I could have dreamed that part.
You did dream that.
right?
I dream this job a lot.
I know,
I'm
you
just
could dream
saying.
that part. But that's
So-
okay, I'm okay with it. I just, as long as people know if they feel it's important, they absolutely
Oh,
can
they
say,
can-
I am a citizen of Red Lodge.
They can
If they
absolutely,
feel like it.
they can absolutely say it. I will
So-
not cut somebody off because they don't give us
Okay.
their home address.
Perfect, thank you.
If you want to demand it when you're running the meeting, you go right ahead.
No, I'm good, that's fine.
All right.
I'll follow legal advice, I'm good with that.
I will entertain a motion for resolution number 3736.
I move to approve resolution number 3736, a resolution of intent for the city council of the city of Red Lodge, Montana to pursue annexation into the rural fire district number 7 for fire protection services.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Council Member Ronning, a second from Council Member Daniels. I will share that everybody has a copy in your handout, which has a paragraph highlighted in yellow, which is different than it's right under that's the yellow. That paragraph is modified a little bit after the admin meeting met. And then on the last page of that document, there's another, I just tweaked it to say the required signatures and the supported notarial certificates. In talking with the election official, we have to get a notary if they are either a business that says they are they are the authorized representative for a business property, Acme LLC, who owns a building, for instance. And it turns out we will also have to get, for the way that they verify signatures is they compare it to the voter registers. So if it is property owners that are not registered to vote in the city, but they own property here, they also need to have a notary. So there's actually two different notary forms. So that certainly is going to increase our challenge in getting those. But anyway, so that's the latest copy of that. Discussion at the table.
That's a lot. Do we need to move to make these changes, or can we just vote on what we have in front of us?
We could do a move as amended once everybody's fine with,
Okay.
as to what's there.
Okay.
I know Council Member Battles, you had a comment you wanted to propose as some alternate wording for the last, the paragraph in yellow on that first page. Did you want to share those?
Yeah, it's not a strong opinion, but I feel that it could just be simplified. Just ending the sentence at cuts to certain, to current levels of city services. I think that sends the message just fine, but I'm also fine if we want to elaborate slightly.
Okay. I will share that we have included the elaboration that Councilmember Battle speaks to is the stuff that is currently paid out of general fund. So there is a portion of our front office administration. There is a portion of the wages for streets and sidewalks, all of the library, all of the city court, all of the planning, all of the police, other than capital equipment, all come from the general fund. So those are all the things that, in fairness, are on the chopping block if our budget doesn't work.
And you've taken out parks and pools from this
Be-
version, the new version.
Because currently, while they can be paid out of general fund, we are currently not paying them out of general fund. We are paying them out of resort tax. We modified the list to just those things that are currently being paid out of general fund, which is why it says a portion of front office and a portion of of wages for streets and sidewalks, because there's obviously money from resort tax that goes to street and sidewalks as well. And some of our front office is also paid for by sewer and water because some of their jobs are sewer and water.
Okay. I just have a quick comment because just the way it's written, maybe combine the things that are a portion of and then say, and all of city court, planning, library, and police protection. Because it makes it sound like it's a portion of, maybe it's just the way I'm reading it today.
Okay, no, so put the two portions together and
Yeah.
move and court and planning to all of,
Yeah,
and then court, planning, and, library and police protection?
Yeah.
So just order
No.
them with the partial stuff
does
first and the full
it
stuff?
matter that the city only pays for a portion of the library because it's also paid for with the county?
City's portion of library,
Thank
does that address the concern?
you. Yes.
This is partially why I suggested just simplifying it, because once you start parsing.
And it's council's call. To me, I want to be able, as we go out and try to get signatures, I want people to one of the things we heard is we have the standing committee meetings is for people to understand what's the impact if we don't.
Mhm.
What's paid out of general fund? You get it? Yeah.
I'd like to hear a little more from the admin and finance committee, if they have some other, concerns about this, or,
That was our only, and Jeremy may have more to say here, but our main concern was that there were things that were listed in there that we are not currently paying out of general fund. It is being paid out of resort tax. And the way our general fund sits right now, there's no way we could pay those out of general fund. So, by having this, I guess it might open up that opportunity, but I don't really foresee that happening in the future unless something drastic happened where we didn't have the money in resort tax and wanted to open the pool. I mean, right now, if that happened, we would, we just wouldn't have we'd be like Miles City and not have a pool for the summer. So, and that was part of the reason why, back in the day when the pool needed so many repairs that needed to be done, they were having a hard time funding it because it wasn't a dedicated park. And they were having to fund it out of general fund. So by making it a dedicated park, it opened it up so that it could be paid for out of resort tax. And that was the whole purpose of that. But, Jeremy?
I feel like the sections that I would have concerns with are more related to how it's presented to the public than necessarily this particular resolution. And I think all the whereases do cover all of the bases that we're concerned with. But our work is ahead of us some
Yeah.
assuming this passes after
Right.
that.
okay,
And-
so
and
this is,
Well, we talked a lot about, in our meeting, what are the next steps? How are we going to get this out to the public? Do we mail it out? And now the fact that it's not just businesses or, corporations that the assigned person is going to have to get their signature notarized. It's anyone that isn't a registered voter in the state of Montana. I mean, in the city of Red Lodge, so that's a huge ask for people to come in and get their signature notarized. Because not everyone's a notary, and I guess everyone at City Hall in the admin department is a notary, so they'll be able to come and sign this, but it's an extra step. It's not just a simple signature and return it. It's going to be kind of a big ask of people, so that puts a lot more work on our shoulders, probably as council, in trying to get the word out on why we're doing this and why we want them to sign this, and to please make that extra effort.
And so Bridger is actually one step ahead of us. So Bridger got the signatures, and then they just did the resolution where they accepted the signatures and took it to the county commissioners, who then sign off on it and go from there. And my understanding of their report there is they pretty much went door to door in Bridger to get their signatures. That scares me a little bit, and
We'll be dragging Lonnie with us.
Pardon? Well, but I think in fairness, this is not going to be just city council members going out. We're going to need people who understand at the core level that one of our jobs as a city is to provide public health and safety. That includes police, that includes fire. Even though we outsource it to the fire district, or if we annex into the fire district, it is still a responsibility of the city to make sure that we are providing that public safety. And so I anticipate and certainly hope that we will have those folks on board and help enlist them too, because there's a whole lot more of them than there is of us. And I will point out, if you go down to the beyond the whereases to the therefores, you will see that they're, like Jody said, like Councilmember Ronning said, that took me 2.5 years, that's not bad. As Councilmember Ronning shared, this is the start of the work. One of the things that's going to happen is if we go from residents in the city paying a property tax equivalent of 21.8 whatever mills it is, of city equivalent taxes, and they are accustomed to getting 28, that's a pay cut to a department that is providing public safety services. And so one of the things that this spells out is we're going to have to work with the Fire District 7 to make sure that we aren't cutting services to our residents. So the work is still ahead of us.
I think a month ago tonight, I talked about getting a simplified version of this that people will understand. I don't know if you're working on that or what, but, you know, I'm not going to go door to door. I prayed, when I was campaigning, I prayed no one was home, and I'm going to do the same thing with this because I don't understand it.
Okay. And I think that's valid input, and I think one of the things is the petition that's out there had some pick and choose of the whereases, and I think one of the things is which of these do we want to keep?
But keep it simple, and I'll go, but it's just like, I can't, I'm not conversant in this yet, and I don't know if anybody is.
Okay, fair, noted?
Yes.
Right. Other comments at the table before we go to public discussion? Hearing no comment at the table, I'm going to go ahead and open to public comment, and I really hope that at least one person in the public is going to stand up and speak.
Tom Coons, Fire Chief. Now I'm eager to know what you're hoping I'm going to discuss, but I think you keyed in on the key factor. I think ultimately this makes for a more efficient way to deliver fire protection under our current model, because what it does is it creates a unified district that has a board that's elected by the people in the district to manage fire service. So what would happen is the city residents, as well as the people who are in the current district, would be part of a single district. I think the best way to think of it is like a school board, right? The school board is elected, people who live in the city, people who live out of the city, the school board is elected to provide schooling for everybody within the district. So that's how it would work, except it'd be for fire protection.
May I exercise my executive privilege? So if I just heard what you said correctly, currently the city does not have a voice on the board.
That's
we just outsource
only through our oversight committee, and there's a member of the council sits on the oversight committee, but there is no voting city member who can vote on the fire district board. If the city was part of the fire district, the entire board could be made up of city residents. Not that it necessarily would be, but they would be everyone is equally eligible to run and be elected.
They don't
not precinct
like
or district or anything like wards or whatever. Yes, that's correct. And I think one of the reasons we have this consolidated fire department now through agreement is because it does operate economically way more efficiently than having separate fire departments. But one of the challenges is when we brought the fire departments together, the city didn't have much capital to give to the agreement. And so it came in capital poor. And so that was part of why there was, originally the agreement was designed that the city would continue to provide capital. The mayor and the council at the time decided that they, instead of committing to capital, they would commit to a higher payment. So that's why that payment structure is the way it is. And so the concern for this is that this would be an increase in taxes, but a reduction in what city residents are paying for fire protection. So I think that needs to be just very clear, is that what city residents are paying for fire protection will go down. And so that will affect the service provided to the city residents, and so we have to offset that in some way. And so that would be the challenge with this. But ultimately, I do believe the concept is good. We need to deal with that disparagement in protection or accept lower levels of fire protection, which I don't think anybody wants. I will proudly say, I believe, as a community, we provide some of the best fire protection around at a very, very low cost to our community. And so there are very few places that have the funding level that we have that have anywhere close to the level of fire service protection that we have.
No, I agree. I think this is, but, you know, Tom, I think a good example of something people would want to see is a fake, tax bill that shows the
and
21
Ann,
mils.
the only reason I'm reluctant at this today to say that is there is a vast change in the way taxes are going to be calculated coming effective sometime in July or August. And so while we could do something that would be based on how taxes are done today, it's not going to be accurate until we get the next assessment. And so that's my only reluctance there. I mean, that's what we did for the ambulance district. I had a spreadsheet. You could tell me your name, and I could literally tell you exactly what it will cost you. Under the current system, I could say what it would have cost you last year. But and we'll be able to say exactly what it will cost you come August or something. Someone who knows more about the Department of Revenue process.
Yes.
But between now and then,
August is too late.
Well, it's not necessarily. It depends on your time frame that you believe that this is going to happen in.
Oh, okay.
You know, there is no time limit in how long it takes you to. But in order to do it today, we can't give. I don't believe we can give accurate information because we don't understand exactly how people's taxable values are going to be and what that impact is going to be.
So let me ask a question that I think, well, I'm kind of mixed, and we'll go back to public comment, but I think this is, I probably should have called you up before public comment, I apologize. Do you recall off the top of your head, and I'll look to you and Lonnie, what did we pay for fire services 2 years ago?
310.
I was going to say
310, 320.
So
yeah,
310 or
320 is what I remember.
320. Now, keep in mind this, how our mills work out. What did we pay last year?
This current budget year
The current budget year.
is $295.
So we went from 310 down to 295. If you were to guess, council member Battles, I mean, in my conversations, I think that we are expecting it to go up this year. And part of it, we don't know how much of it is personal residential versus secondary. But if that number came back at, under the current agreement, came back at 350 to 360,000 right now, that wouldn't concern me. Does it scare me? Absolutely, because that's a larger percentage of our budget, right? Our budget didn't go up that much. That's just the problem with mills-based calculations. Anything I said there that you want?
That's true. The big moving pieces are that homestead exemption, and that's going to change the way that the taxable value applies to second homes versus residential homes.
Right.
And we have a lot of second homes here in Red Lodge, so that could bump up, and probably will bump up our total taxable value as a town, which will decrease the number of mills, which will increase the amount
that 28 mills represents.
Exactly.
There's also a valuation component to the adjust taxable value. So someone with a $300,000 home and someone with a $1 million home will have different taxable, different calculations for their taxable value. Hence why I can't answer the question.
Too many questions.
Too many questions.
Yeah.
That will be resolved, just not today.
Well, we have Tom up here, and I've completely blown the rules for public comment out of the water. Is there any other questions council has for Tom?
Are you guys, again, about a month ago, you guys had a sticking point. I can't remember what it was. Have you guys resolved your sticking
Well,
point?
the sticking point is we don't necessarily agree on how we get to not having it be a cut to the fire department.
Okay.
So that's the piece, is that how do we resolve the fact that this will end up being, you know, it is a tax increase to the residents, but it is very clearly a decrease in the amount of funding for the fire department. And so how do we reconcile that? That becomes the question.
And that's still under negotiation,
And
correct?
I can add, yeah, and it still is, and that would still be a contract that basically would come before council. So if as the guy who puts together the budget, I said, okay, we're gonna allocate X% of the resort tax budget to fire because we can.
Are you all working on that, or is that?
Yeah, we're talking about it, yes, but
Talking
there's
about
no ultimately, you know,
We've not
I
spoken
don't
yet.
decide on what gets allocated out of resort tax. That's not, I may sit on the resort tax committee, but I am not a decision maker. You as a board is the decision maker on that, so.
And do we calculate that difference based on the 295 right now or on the 350? That could potentially, there's a little bit of gambling about what we think is gonna happen to those rates between now and then.
Oh,
You know, as the fire chief.
If this were easy, this would have been done 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's very complicated, and as the fire chief, a couple of things. One is that you know, I don't want after something bad happens to come back and say, well, you know, why we happened, right? Like, the goal is to provide the highest level of fire protection that we can reasonably, given the resources that we have. So, you know, we can't be, we don't have a ladder truck, right? We're not gonna get a ladder truck. I don't see any world unless we can, you know, unless an opportunity presents us that, you know, which we're good at making those opportunities, we don't ever see having a ladder truck. A brand new ladder truck costs about $1.8 million right now. So it's not in the cards for us. Also don't necessarily think it would be a game changer in our fire protection piece. There are some moments where we might need it, but you know, so we have to have the resources that our community, that are reasonable and our community can afford. So I think that really is an important thing. I think another piece of this, I think, is really, this is done by citizen petition. Even though you guys may be leading that citizen petition, you should know that as the fire chief, I don't have veto power. The citizens sign this petition and it goes to the commissioners, okay? The commissioners don't have veto power, I don't have veto power. The board doesn't have veto power. It is done by citizen petition. Oddly, as a city council, you do have veto power. So in the law, there is a piece that says the city council must approve this process. You are or may approve the process. You are the only one who has veto power. If you get 40%, that represent 40% of the taxable value, and it goes to the commissioners, unless they have a legal protest on it, which is another 40%, representing another 40% of the taxable value, they must approve it. The only one who can say no to this is the city council.
However, I will throw in, if we want to enlist and enroll, how many volunteers do you have?
130, right?
If we want to enlist those 135 people to help us get this message across, we have to take that into account too as we go to that negotiation about how are we gonna address the decrease. Because we're not gonna get 135 people to go knocking on doors because we're gonna cut their budget.
well, that's, what's in it for them?
You are asking the correct question.
So,
And remember, this is a group of people who volunteer their time to help the community. They don't have anything to benefit. What their goal is to help the community. Their only benefit is to be able to help the community better.
well, how do you make it something they want to do? Is that a good question?
I think, you know, I think you provide them with you show them that you support what they do. You show them that you value what they do, and you provide them with adequate funding. So those are the three things. If you want to have a functional volunteer emergency response system, you have to do those three things. You have to say, hey, we value and appreciate what you do. We support what you do, and we will fund you so that you can do what you do for free. You know, I mean, if you look at what it would cost to replace our fire department with a fully career fire department, you will find that it will vastly exceed what we're currently paying.
Any other questions from the council? now that we're done with the Q&A, did you have any other public comments you wanted to
No, I
make?
had no public comments.
Thank you. I probably should have called you up. I apologize, and I'll take my spankings for that. With that, public comment is still open, so it is anybody who would like to address council specifically on this resolution to pursue annexation. The floor is open. Seeing no one in the chamber, I'm looking online, looking for cameras to come on or mics to come unmuted, calling for public comment twice. And 3 times a term, we'll go ahead and close the public comment, and we will bring discussion back to the table. Any further discussion at the table? Hearing none, can I get a roll call, please? Oh, wait. We need to get a motion as amended, I think.
Oh.
I would make a motion to approve the resolution number 3736, as amended.
I'll
And-
second.
And just to be clear on the amendments, and I'll get a copy of this to Lonnie, it is as in the yellow, but we're going to reorder to put the partials first. We're going to add city's portion of library and then have all of the olive stuff stated afterwards.
Yeah.
So that was a motion from Councilmember Battles. Did I have a second?
Me, yes.
A second from Councilmember Ronnie. Discussion on the amended motion. Lonnie, do you want 1 vote or 2? It's just as amended, right? So it's a modified motion? All right. Can I get a roll call on the motion as amended?
Battles?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Rude?
Yes,
5-0. Let the work begin. The motion passes. Thank you.
I'll help, Tom. Just have to explain it to me. Bullet points.
I will entertain a motion for resolution number 3737.
I move to approve resolution number 3737, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Red Lodge to establish a Montana Main Street Program Committee.
I will second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Ronning, a second from Councilmember Daniels. Discussion at the table, please.
I have a question.
Councilmember Davis, speak up.
On the main, I don't have it in front of me, but on the Main Street, agreement, it shows that they have to have the request in for the budget by June 1st of the year, prior to the fiscal year, so that's kind of a short turnaround time. Right? On the end of the resolution, let's see.
I got it.
You have it? Thank you so much. The timeline on the very last page, it said, Main Street Program Committee may request funds from the City of Red Lodge for education and training as required by Montana Department of Commerce. Request for funds should be submitted with a budget by June 1st, prior to the start of the fiscal year. So,
Their budget
is
is
that for
only
the
like
future?
$1,500.
Oh, okay, so they already have a project there, so I
Yeah,
thought that was a little
it's
short.
basically to attend training.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And
So they know-
today's only the 12th. They got 2 weeks.
Okay, they got time. All right, I was just worried about that.
And I will put that in fairness, there has
Thank
been
you.
a group,
We have too much room tonight.
there has been a group handling, Main Street for quite some time.
Yeah.
What we're doing now is formalizing it and getting the city a seat at the table so we can help make sure that everybody knows about those grant opportunities, et cetera, that are out there.
I support it.
Did we get your question answered,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis?
I just want to make sure they were aware of it and
All right.
have the request.
I just, and as I look at mine, I noticed that it came up in, committee meeting to have an amendment, and I did not get an updated copy, so I will look to have someone in this group do it, but basically on the second page, where it says the Main Street Program Committee shall be comprised of no more than 7 and no less than 5 individuals, that we duplicate the language which is already in our charter, but that it says appointed by the mayor and approved by council. I would like to add that to the resolution if somebody would like to make that motion to amend.
I move to amend that.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion from Councilmember Ronning, and we'll give that second to Councilmember Battles. Any discussion or question on that? Can I get a quick roll call vote on the amendment, and then we'll come back to the main motion?
Adel?
Yes.
Daniels?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Rude?
Yes.
5-0, the motion to amend passes, and I apologize for not doing that piece of homework that was assigned to me.
That's okay.
All right, back to the main motion. Any further discussion at the table before we go to public comment? Hearing none, let's go ahead and open public comment specific to Resolution 3737 of the City Council of Red Lodge to establish a Montana Main Street Program Committee. Looking to the room? Seeing no one in the room, looking online, calling for public comment twice. Public comment 3 times. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment, bring discussion back to the table. Any further discussion at the table? Can I get a roll call on the main motion, please?
Adel?
Yes.
Daniels?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Rude?
Yes.
5-0, the motion passes. And I just noticed another note that I was going to make on the agenda when we were adopting it, that we were going to say establish a Main Street Program Committee. Committee what got amended from the agenda. So, all right, that passes. That completes the action portion of our agenda. So let us move to the councils. And so let's go with public health and safety. And for that, let's look to Committee Chair Daniels. Any updates and things that council needs to be aware of? And what is your committee's proposal for how to deal with actually, you guys meet on Tuesday. You don't have to have an agenda you don't have to have an idea how to fix meetings, because your meeting isn't on Monday.
No, it's not, no,
Okay.
no. I was like, what? A long way around to get to the Monday meeting.
Sorry, yeah.
That's funny.
You're the one group it doesn't affect. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think we actually also, due to, I go on summer hours now, we just agree to keep time as is. It seems to work out for all of us. Today, Chief was not available, but in our packets or in our handouts, he did give us a quick rundown on, the month of April.
And all council members have that in the handouts before the meeting.
281 calls for service, nothing crazy. Per a request, we do know that the speed radar trailer is now here being charged and will be making an appearance on
Say it right.
Villard. That's how I
Villard. Villard. What?
It's a thing, it's Villard.
They're not from here.
Or they weren't townies, I get it. They will be making an appearance over by the Boys and Girls Club. We discussed, Ann was able to go down and we kind of figured out, she went up to look at the signage that's in the shop to see what we have available. It doesn't look like we have a lot of signage that is needed. We're still working with getting with Mike and Public Works, get some sign ordered. Obviously, there's been some more
Children
pressing.
playing.
Yes, the kids that
Sorry.
play
Or
or whatever, kids watch where you're going, yeah, whatever is available. He's obviously been dealing with some more pressing matters of water situations, so, we did decide that we will go ahead and head down and have a meeting in Boys and Girls Club to discuss some of the parking situations, so we can clear up some visibility, especially during summer hours.
That's gonna be 11 o'clock on Friday, if anybody wants to come.
Well, I think we should verify did you verify with
Oh,
Boys and Girls
no,
Club first?
I guess I should.
Yeah. Sure. Let's make sure they're available first, or we can all just go down there. Yeah, other than that, the signage, camp, field, yeah.
Mike still has a pretty substantial list that we sat down and reviewed yesterday. So I didn't hear anything that was raised that isn't in the queue. But we continue to work on that. The one thing, actually, I'll wait till we get to Public Works before we do that. Any other questions for Public Health and Safety? Thank you, Committee Chair Daniels. Next, let's go to Admin and Finance, or are you in a position to
Yeah.
I'll try. Jeremy can help.
I can be back up as necessary.
Thank
Oh.
you. I can't talk very long. First, we just passed a resolution for, annexation, pursue annexation, and now the main big thing that we have to work on are our next steps, including public outreach, and education. We've discussed a couple of different options, primarily, we thought about just, mailing it out to all the property owners, with our therefores and whereases on why we need it and all of that. But we also talked about setting up different places where we could be at a table and sitting down and we could sit one-on-one with people. You know, there's several ways that we could do that. It was brought up Beartooth Market, but you get, especially in the summertime, you get a lot of tourists in that don't care. So I think it should be more like, just planned meetings, and also, maybe going to the Senior Citizen Center, things like that, where we can actually sit down one-on-one and talk with people. I know the mayor is hoping that we do get some support from, the fire department as far as, maybe helping, if we do end up having to knock on doors, if they would be able to help us do that. I think if we send out the petition to start out with, through the mail, we'll get a list of, who we really need to reach out to. If there's like a whole block, a plat, it would be fairly easy to be able to reach out to those people on that block. It's like you didn't sign. What can we do to make that happen? What do you need to know? Yes.
I'll give your voice a little bit of a break. Another one of the homework assignments to me that I did take is I have reached out to the local office of the tax board and also to the county representative, and they are generating us a list. I did get the list, again, it was an assignment to me, of kind of what the spreadsheet looked like from Bridger. And what it did is it would go through and say so each property was what percentage of the number of properties, but then also what was the percentage of the taxable valuation. So I've requested that information. That will help us figure out who we want to talk to, because if there's one name that has 14 properties and it represents, there's 3% or 5%. I don't think there's anybody that's more than 1% or 3%. But if somebody's got whole numbers where everybody else is fractions of a number, we definitely need to sit down and talk to those folks first and kind of prioritize that part.
And we would want, like I say, these public meetings, whether it's at the senior center or just setting up some public meetings for people to come and talk, so that anyone who owns property in Red Lodge, we want people to understand what's going on. We don't, absolutely, in order to get it to pass, we need 40% of the property value. So we have to get that as well. But we also need 40% of the property owners to sign it. So it's a huge deal. It's going to be a huge undertaking. And, we might not be successful. I doubt we'll be successful with just mailing it out, I guess, is our point.
I had a thought on the mailing, since our meeting. I think maybe it should include an invite to some kind of town hall where,
that's a great idea.
It can be explained, so the mailer can take the form of an invitation as well as informative.
That's a great idea. And then we'd have a notary there.
They can all sign in one place.
We'll be at our table, ready with our stamp.
The fact of the matter is, we are talking about an action that is going to raise what people pay on their property taxes. That's never a fun conversation.
No, it's not.
But you have to address it head on and straight on and say, to keep providing the services, we need to make a change.
Yes. So that's where we're at with that. More to come on as we come up with plans and ideas. And we are, if anyone has a great idea on how to make this happen, please reach out. We absolutely, or if if we need to set up at the dog park, we can do that too. So,
maybe
some places where people go. That's definitely. The next thing, we had, does anybody have any more questions on that? Okay. The next thing is, to discuss, the action plan for Safe Streets grant. There is currently a federal Safe Street grant out there that's available. The deadline is May 26th. But in order to, apply for actual projects, you have to have an action plan. And we do not have one, but you can apply for that grant to create the action plan. So, we kind of wanted just to bring this up. We want to apply for it. It's due by May 26th. But I just want everyone to know this is Safe Streets, but it's also pedestrian safety. So it could be putting sidewalks in where we don't have sidewalks, things like that as well. Yeah.
Painting crosswalks.
Okay, could be, yes, it could be.
One of the things to add to that is it does require the mayor's signature to apply. However, there is no obligation, so that doesn't cut us off because of timing and date. So I do anticipate, I believe Parks is the Beartooth Trails
Yeah.
has offered to put together this for us. And it is my intention that I will sign that because there is no obligation of it. If at a point we get the grant, to accept the grant, that would come before council and I would need permission of council in order to sign that because at that point there would be an obligation.
But it's federal funding that we don't normally have access to, and yeah.
Just do it.
The more grant money we get, the better. The more we can make our resort tax, go farther. So it's a huge deal. So any other questions on that or comments? Okay. Discuss a request to write a letter, and I'm not going to say this, regarding an NEW FERC filing.
Yeah, it's actually NWE for Northwest Energy. And autocorrect fixed it.
Okay. I was like, I couldn't figure out why it was new.
Yeah, it's NWE FERC
like
filing.
Okay. That happens. So this is in response to Mr. Molnar being here last week, and his discussion on wanting to, advising us to send a letter. And we kind of talked about it a little bit. There's a lot of unknowns that are going on with this. And so we just kind of wanted to bring it to council to get everyone's opinion on if we want to actually send this letter, or do we want to get more information and maybe we thought about maybe asking Sustainability Board to pick this up because it really has to do with data centers and Northwestern Energy merging with Black Hills to be able to access this new part of their customer base, which is data centers. And as we all have heard, probably data centers they'll double our demand for power. So, and the real thing that I've read about is that because of this, they will be able to raise their rates on existing customers to be able to put in the infrastructure they need to supply that energy. So that to me is the real crux of it. But I don't know that this letter is going to do anything. So we wanted to bring it forward to everyone so everyone could have the opportunity to say, what do you, your opinions on it. What do you want to do? Do you want to send this letter?
Does anybody feel strongly that with other things we have on our docket, this is where they want to jump in and spend some energy level to come up to understand it well enough to advise as to whether we should or we shouldn't?
I would not be opposed. I don't know. It's kind of one of those things. Right now, the public comment for that merger started today, and it's going to last up to 4 days, but it could be over tomorrow. So all I think that we could do would be to send a letter saying either we support the merger or we don't support the merger, and here's why.
And we can't take action on that tonight because it's not there.
But we have a letter, so it would be.
But you could send that personally.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you wanted, but do we want the city of Red Lodge to send it?
I see.
I will offer that I reached out to a couple people that are board members or past board members on Beartooth Electric. And the feedback, if I put it nicely, was a lot of energy needs to be taken before we accept everything that we were handed as factual.
And that to me is, I mean, I personally wouldn't mind writing a letter saying, you know, I really don't want our rates to go up so Northwestern Energy can build the infrastructure to support data centers. I mean, I have no problem personally saying that,
Yeah.
but I don't know that it's the city's place right now to do so, so.
And I think the way that you just phrased that is a lot less controversial than some of the other proposed language and stuff. I think anybody who wants to from the public that says, I don't want this merger if it makes my rates go up.
And give the new customer base a deeply discounted rate, right?
Well, and I don't know that
That's
what I don't know of that. I don't even know if that's true. I don't even know if they can do that.
Okay.
I mean, that would be horrible if that's the
Some of the
case. I mean,
feedback
that
was
would be
that they can't,
absolutely
Okay.
livid about that. But, you know, to me, it's more the fact that, you know, the supply, there's going to be an increased demand for the supply of energy that we have. And whenever there's an increase in demand, prices go up, period, so.
And that
the way it is.
represents
And that's
the residents of.
Yeah.
Is
That's the city
it
of Arbuckle.
council's desire to keep this on the agenda for council to look into going forward? We'll start at this end.
Go start the other end.
Councilmember Battles?
I would like Sustainability Board to kind of weigh in on it, get their thoughts. They might have the pulse closer than any of us sitting here.
Okay,
Yeah.
good as me.
Yeah, I don't feel educated enough on the subject
No.
to
And
know
I
which
think-
side or to delve into the research to find what the truth is and what we need to
And I think
stand up for.
And I think sustainability would be a great place to ask them to look into it, because it's not just the increase in the demand, it's also the increase in the water usage and the natural resources that are happening with these data centers. And, I mean, I know there's a lot of farmers and ranchers deeply concerned about the water issues, and everyone who fishes in our streams and recreates in Montana, so.
Yeah, I didn't
I
think about
would-
that part.
So as I think about this from a process standpoint, I think that's incumbent on me. I will take council's, I will reach out to the sustainability chair, and relay on that council would like some input. We'd like them to do some homework for us.
Yes,
There you go.
Okay.
yes, okay. Let's see. So any more on that? Everyone good? Okay. The next thing is, council training. Councilwoman Rude, asked that we, bring in, do some, training amongst our city council people. And what we discussed at Admin and Finance is that, yes, Dan Clark does have the availability to come in, but it is $1,500 for a half a day. So what we.
Expenses.
Plus expenses, but, I think training is a wonderful thing, I think that, but we need a commitment from people. And then we would also ask, if we do bring Dan in, what we'd like is for, and we can share a link, for you to log in and take an online class, also before he comes here, so that we can, get questions, that maybe take a little deeper dive into things rather than just our form of government and, you know, the basics, because all the basics are covered in our manual and on this online class. So I'd love it if everyone could take those. But before we invite Dan here, we also want to make sure that we can get a majority of council people there, because we don't want to just bring them up and have like 2 people show up. So, for $1,500, so. Because I did his training once before he came up, and I think it's great. The more training, the better, but we just need that commitment from people.
I will add that it is very valuable training. I've had the opportunity to sit through it multiple times. And when, Council President Ronning reached out to me, I reached out to Dan and asked about scheduling and availability. And he said, yep, and that's where he gave us the price. And then, but like I said, I think there's validity into, we should make sure we're doing our homework first, so we're getting our money's worth if we bring him out. And I would like to see, I'd like to see the majority of council members at least be able to meet that. He did mention that if it was after, the pass opened, the expenses may go down because he wouldn't count staying the night on our tab, it would be his, and he would continue on his drive. And then he reiterated that there are online classes, and there's been a couple, and I always try to forward those out to everybody, so that, because they do have online classes you can go through, but I agree, I like the in-person when you can ask questions. Councilmember Davis.
How much is the online training link to access that and?
Sometimes they're free, and I think there's a lot of them that are free. What I can do is I can relay on to, Council President Ron. When I was Council President, I had links that I had put together to everybody to get all of that.
Yeah.
I know some of those have changed. So I'll look to you to kind of put together an email, to send out to let people know what those resources are. And then if you would all, reply to her and say, yes, here's this, and I'd like, and here's my recommendation for, like a doodle. I have a weekday, a weekend, I didn't get into specifics about weekends or weekdays with him. He was just like, if you can come up with some dates to propose to me, I can get on my calendar and get back with you.
Okay, so we'll see the online class schedule, set a
Yeah,
time
you
frame
just-
for that, and
I think
then,
you just have to register, it's like a campus portal thing.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to do the review and see what their latest version is, so.
Yeah.
okay, thank
And
you.
then there'll be a list of classes that you can take, I believe. I have to do the same thing.
So like a time frame, like within the next month or within the next 3 months, and then schedule him?
I would like,
Or
if
this
we're gonna
summer?
do I guess I'll take from everyone, like how soon do you wanna do this? Do you wanna take the summer to take the online classes and then do this fall? Or do we wanna do it as soon as possible?
Is
Save
it
money.
similar to how, when I first got on council, we had a similar, class where he came down?
Yeah, so you and I were the two we went to that class,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's very beneficial, because, I came in blind and had no idea, so, I feel like the sooner,
The better.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if we give everyone a month to take an online class
It is
and then,
summer, so,
Yeah.
people are
Yeah.
extra busy, so.
Can you say something in admin that something was changing?
They've talked about in July, but I think if we can get it scheduled, my understanding is we can get it scheduled before then, they're gonna start offering packages. So rather than à la carte, they're gonna start to put together some packages that include some things. So I do think there's a benefit if we can get it scheduled before July. And like I said, I think as you reach out to council members, just remember to do it in a BCC fashion, if you would, please, so that there is not an electronic quorum. But if everybody will respond, and if you can put together a time and come up with it, I'm okay getting it scheduled. I do think there's wisdom. You have all, I know firsthand how much time you guys all put in, and I appreciate that. But I also know there's a lot of resources available to us that explain a lot of the things that we have questions on. So I would encourage people to take advantage of those. This isn't instead of homework, this is just the advanced lecture that comes along with the homework.
Okay.
perfect, I will do that.
Thank you.
I'm a little bit, I just want to say, I listened to the meeting, took notes, to your meeting yesterday.
Okay.
Or this morning, or whatever.
Okay.
I have a little bit of disagreement with a few things.
Okay,
And, I was never given any information about how to sign in at the local government center in Bozeman. And Mayor mentioned a handbook. I've never been given a handbook. I'm assuming that it's highly probable that most of us here haven't been given a lot of information. And my specific question was about the form of government that our city runs under, which is called Weak Mayor, Strong Council. And I've talked about not being conversant. I am curious. I think I'm reading my letter that I wrote. I feel it's highly probable that the council and the public are not aware that the city should operate under these conditions, weak mayor, strong council. That was accorded by the city charter on July 1st, 2003. The council should be conversant in this form of government and know when it is and isn't being used appropriately. So I also in the someone said, I don't want to do this for one person. Well, I never in here do I say, I want this. I want it for the council, I want it for the citizens to be, what's that word, empowered. I sense this real lack of empowerment that we have and the citizens have to get things questions answered. And I would plead that the public is invited to this and we all get smarter. So that is why I want to, and I would love it if he would address in part, weak council, weak mayor, strong council.
So I will say, and just for the record, we have had, we've come leaps and bounds since I first got on council. I mean, we have learned, the mayor has his lane and we have our lane.
That needs to be explained.
Yes, and we do, and it's gotten, it's actually 1,000% better than it was when I first got on council. Because at that time, we were a lot of new council people, like brand new, and we had a mayor that had never been on council. And so the mayor was doing what council was supposed to do, and then once we figured that out and we had to fight back to get our power back, it was awful. And I will like to just say that Mayor Westwood has been instrumental because he had been on council before and he knows what a council's lane is. He's given us that power back.
Okay.
Let me just finish, please. Okay. So the what you're talking about, the weak mayor, strong council, is the fact that we are basically his boss in the fact that anytime he needs to sign something, anytime we want him to do something, we pass a resolution. So the all six of us are basically his boss. And then he is the boss of, he's in charge of the day-to-day running of the city and over and above all of the employees. So, our lane is if we want something done, we get together, we pass a resolution, and the mayor does it. So that's our strength. I mean, that is our strength. Yes.
Okay. At the meeting, I took notes, and the only distinction that the mayor said was that he said he could tell us what Dan's going to tell us. He said he could do that, like he's the expert that I was hoping for. And he said the only distinction is that he makes appointments. I think there's a lot more to it than making appointments, and that's what I want to get to the bottom of. You said that yesterday.
Actually, can I fix the quote because that is inaccurate?
Well, that's what you said.
What Dan Clark said, and I've heard it, because I've heard him literally say on a dozen times, the distinction is that and he actually says, I don't like the term weak mayor, I like the term strong council, but what it means is when the mayor makes appointments, council has to approve them. In a strong mayor, council doesn't have to approve them. The mayor just makes appointments. And I agree with everything that Council President Ronning said, actually, as far as those other things. And that's literally why I became mayor, was to give council back council's power.
But I also said in my letter that I hope this will be held in public so the council and the citizens can be better informed, ask pertinent questions, and have different governance scenarios explained, and thus become more empowered in understanding their rights and roles in city governance.
And every time we've done it, we've invited, to my knowledge, Lonnie, can you think of anyone we haven't invited the public? Because the public has always been invited to them when we've had them.
So I'm a little concerned about the power, and I want to get some questions answered.
And as we're doing, like I said, what I need to do and is, if you didn't get it, to my knowledge, every council member as they've come on board has gotten that email, and we can certainly, like I said, Councilmember Ronning has taken on the responsibility to make sure that everybody has the latest version of that.
Well, we need to figure out, so I didn't know there was a link to go get these, classes.
Yeah, and the book is now PDF. It's all available on, so I will make sure that I will help make sure that you get that information within the next 2
I think all of
weeks.
this would benefit from it, the town.
You
and
got it when you
us.
came on board?
I was gonna say, I have hard copies from a previous council member, so I have not
I have
read them, and I'm sorry. I have not
Anyway,
read those,
thank you
their
all.
books, so I'll give them
Yeah.
to you to share.
No, I'll get them on.
And actually, my
Okay.
first term, I went and bought copies out of my budget and gave to me personally, and gave to everybody. So like I said, it's,
I think it,
I just want some clarification on things. Okay, I'm done, thank you.
So,
do you feel that we've heard you?
Yes, but the meeting did not reflect what my letter said.
I didn't refer to your letter at all, or names or anything, so.
Well, you must have read the letter, because it was carbon copy to you.
Yep, I did read it. I was
Okay,
aware of it.
Right, but
That was why I reached out to Dan prior even to the admin
I
committee.
wrote the letter to Jody, and I was disappointed that I wrote the letter to Jody, not to you, and then I learned that you reached out to Dan, and
it's not my, I can't reach out to Dan, that's not my responsibility.
So then we need to get that clarified too.
Yeah, that would be me asking the mayor.
And
That
I
would
don't,
be council asking the mayor.
and I don't
too.
know that you can't, because when I was on council, I reached out to Dan, and like I said,
Well,
I don't
it's
know
just-
that you.
I can't reach out to him and schedule a
Yeah,
training
that's a true
without
statement.
all of
But
council
you can
saying yes
have a little conversation. I've reached out to him twice, and he never
Yeah,
called me
no.
back.
No, I'm not saying I can't talk to him. I'm saying I can't schedule a training with Dan without council saying yes, because it is a budget item.
But you could call him and say, hey, we're thinking about this, what do you think? And I'll get back to you, or someone will get back to you. That's all.
I just was
Okay,
fine.
that's fine.
Okay.
I know people are busy.
May have a conversation and see if he can set out some time that he could call out and have a short conversation with you, because I think there's a lot of your angst that could be really easily addressed. And I would love for you to have less angst. I really
I
would.
don't have any angst. I want
I hate to
everyone
see you with
learn.
angst.
I want everyone to learn.
Okay, I'm good with
I
that.
need to. I need to learn more.
No angst. Happy.
Okay, are we good?
Committee Chair Ronnie, the
Thank
floor is
you.
yours.
Do we have anything else that we need? Is everybody good with the council training, and we'll
I think
send out
we're-
those links? Okay,
The
we're good.
request is fully
Okay.
reasonable.
Okay, I think I'm done, because I think I just talked for almost a half hour, so we're.
Any
we're
other
set.
questions for admin and finance? All right, hearing none, let's go to land use and planning, and which of you distinguished council members would like to step in for council member
Jeremy.
Tupin
I can fill it in.
Oh, God.
So land use and planning met last week. Started off discussing, hoping to close the book on amendments to ordinance 960, which amends Title 8, Chapter 8, use of city-owned land. The goal there is to basically remove barriers to First Amendment expression, exempting those activities from fees and permitting requirements, and working some details out in that language. It does include language asking organizers of such events to notify city when practicable. And we also removed some distinctions that were existing, implied distinctions anyway, about picketing and whether it refers to labor disputes versus just expression. And we didn't feel that there was a need for making such a distinction. So we worked through that. Chelsea has the amendments, and I hope that we can.
Okay. I will say that the one that was in the packet, I included it, but we did not get any of the updates from your meeting, so I don't know that what we have in the packet reflects that, so.
Okay.
Did you feel like it's ready to be below the fold in a full council discussion with those changes at the next meeting?
Was there one more swing by with Dennison that we were looking at, or I think it was,
I think we're good
I
to
think
go
we were
with it.
good.
But
I know that he had,
it wouldn't hurt to have Dennison take one last look, but I think we're ready to
yeah.
move on it. Okay. If there's no other comments on that, we also discussed just the processes for designating and changing the use of city-owned land. And it was really, go ahead.
I will confirm, that the planner does have it on his agenda to be at the next meeting.
Great.
And to make his presentations for the request of the standing committee.
Awesome. Yeah, in absence of a city planner, we just kind of had an open discussion on the consistent process for changing use of city-owned land, and having that process scale with the complexity and just scale of the change being made. You know, small changes should be relatively easy, and large changes should go through a significant process, so.
Yes.
And
I mean,
I think
Good at
the trail process, that we just went through is a really good example of why we need to do this. And there was, I will share an interesting conversation, when the donor first approached, he came and, offered to make a donation to either Beartooth Trails or the city. My feeling at the time was it needed to be to the city because that gave us a chair at the discussion and it gave us a voice in the conversation. There were a couple of people who had previously stated they thought, we should have just avoided all of this and just let Beartooth Trails take it. They approached me following the meeting on Wednesday and said it was the right call to have this come to the city and have this conversation out the way we had it. So I think that was, and I like all the feedback that came in. I feel like everybody got to be heard. Again, it's not done by any means, but I very much like that it's out there and everybody's getting up to speak.
Does Beartooth Trails currently own any land?
They do have donations that have been made specific. I don't know that they're in city limits, but they do take donations of land directly to Beartooth Trails.
Awesome.
The other thing is, I think, like I said, in perpetuity, is I don't want future Beartooth Trails auctioning things off either, so, another reason we wanted it in the city, so.
Be a good lookup for cadastral. See what's going on with them. I'll do that tonight.
There's some stuff out out beyond the, Nordic Ski Center.
Oh, sure, okay.
So, in fact, I don't know if it may be owned by them, I don't know. So, anything else on that?
No, those two topic items really took the bulk of our time. Is there anything?
We did have on this discussion, there was a request, and there was one page of it in the packet. They came out kind of blue because we just had a hard copy to work with, and then I understand that you got a copy of them there tonight. This is a request for an easement or a deed adjustment on that, and kind of at the last meeting, it was just kind of what is council's favor, what is council's preference on how to handle this and address this. I think we decided it was going to go land use and planning. It was actually introduced at Public Works, I think, and then
Yeah.
and it was introduced at, actually it was Public Health and Safety, and then it got handed off?
No,
Or was
it's
it Public Works?
It was
It
Public
was introduced at Public Works and it got handed off to Land Use and Planning. Do you wanna lead the discussion on that?
I'm happy to share my own thoughts.
Yeah.
We haven't had a committee
haven't.
discussion on it yet.
Go ahead, Councilmember Battles. I mean, this is just a discussion amongst council whether we want to take this up as an action or do we not?
I think it's worth discussing as part of the trail conversation, and whatever legal mechanism is best. Either I lean towards some sort of easement, but if there's other legal mechanisms for recognizing the state of this fence and that its current use is fine to continue, that's what I would be in support of.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any objections from council from land use and planning taking this up?
No objections.
Just to review it and look at pros and cons and.
And then bring it to council with the
Yeah.
proposed action?
There's basically three options. There's granting an easement for the fence, there's adjusting the property line versus, you know, a deed or land transfer, or there's just declining it. So those are basically the three options that would be discussed then at land use and planning, and then they would come to us with a recommendation.
Seems like the protocol of everything else.
And I will offer, my preference. Once something comes before council, I like for action to be pursued and taken on it. I would rather see something brought forward and fail than just fail for lack of having a discussion on it. I think it's warranted to have a discussion. So even those who are not in favor of it, I think we have that discussion. I do think we need to, we will get staff recommendations from legal and planning. I'm sure they will advise as to scalability and repeatability, but like I said, I think I think there's great benefit in council taking it up. So will you put this on the agenda and then carry it forward?
Yeah.
And then the petitioners are here, and so we do have a public comment period following this bill, and then I'm sure you will have the ability to reach out and talk to them and schedule as you put it on the agenda. There was just kind of initial straw poll last time about whether people wanted to even bring it up or not, if they wanted to take it up, and so, we've now made a decision that yes, we'll take it up. It's on the docket.
I don't remember a straw poll, but.
We didn't do that. That was what this was for.
Okay. Let me rephrase that. I got lots of one-off opinions
There
and
you go.
wanted it discussed at the table.
There you go. Thank you.
Now we agreed, we're gonna take it up. Okay, yeah, perfect.
Okay. Any other questions for land use and planning from the table?
That's all I have.
All right. Then, let's go ahead and finish with Public Works, and for that, we will look to Committee Chair Ronnie.
Okay, so, the packet was a resolution to award wastewater system improvements. And that is in the packet as blank, resolution number blank. We'll have one. It's a resolution to award the phase 2 and 3 of the wastewater system improvement project for the city of Red Lodge. And this is out for bid right now, and this is just giving the mayor the authority to award the bid.
So this is one of those that, again, that in order for me to award or sign a contract, I need council's permission. However, it's also something we don't want to slow down, so you'll notice that the copy in the packet has a lot of blanks and yellow on it. So those will all be filled in with real numbers, but so this is our below the conversation, and we'll have that up for action at the next meeting, with just the recommendation from Great West that says, here's who we picked, and here's why, and here's the numbers, and high bid, low bid. Are there any questions that council can think of based on this and past? My goal is to get all the questions answered early so that we can take action on it next time.
Next time, perfect.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so that will be up for action at the next meeting, because the mayor will need to sign it. So we will have all the dollar amounts and everything like that, it'll be complete, so. All right, and then we have a resolution to accept the Rocky Fork Bank Stabilization Environmental, project, and that is in our packet as well.
And it actually did have a resolution already there with it when we were discussing it.
It did?
Yeah, the resolution is in the packet.
Oh, yeah, so is the other one.
So this is a resolution to accept.
Right, yeah.
And the choices are we accept it or we don't. We don't get to tweak it or edit it. It's just formal. And I like the resolution approach because it makes it easier for future generations to go back and do a search and find out when it happened.
I agree.
Yeah. So if there are any questions on that, I mean, they have to have the environmental impact statement in order to start the work, so. The bank stabilization work, it's over at, the 19th.
Councilmember Davis?
I love this environmental checklist. I am so glad that they did this, or it's required. It's really helpful for me to read through it in the bullet points, so I just want to
Bullet
comment.
point.
Yes,
Yes,
I
yes.
absolutely love what it addresses, and I think the community would really benefit from this information here.
Yes.
Amazing.
So do that with the annexation.
Sure.
Bullet points with the letter and invite.
Do that, okay, we'll take that under advisement. All right, so are there any questions on that? And if there's not, we'll put it up for action at the next meeting. I will say, we have decided to cancel our next Public Works Standing Committee meeting because these two will be up for action. They're not anything we need to talk about during our Public Works meeting. And the other thing that we're working on is our, retweaking, the solid waste ordinance to also include residential, but it's not something we need to actually meet on next time. So we're kind of doing that in the background, back and forth through emails. So, and it's not, we did most of it at the meeting last night, so it's more just, I sent out our changes, and if any of you have any questions or changes on that, but it'll be up now to ask the mayor to send that to Dennison to, have him review it.
Which is that,
The solid waste ordinance, the amendment, the First
Oh.
Amendment,
okay.
the First Amendment, yes, so that we can have it up for discussion at our next city council meeting.
So solid waste will be discussion
Yes.
at the next meeting?
Yes,
Even though we're not having a work meeting first?
right, yes, because we've pretty much talked about it, so
Okay.
I think we're good. And I forgot to tell you to, just real quick, Admin and Finance is tentatively going to do our standing committee meeting Tuesday morning at 7:30 a.m. instead of Monday. I'm waiting for Chelsea's input on that, but that's tentatively when we'll be meeting, so.
Okay.
Tuesday after Memorial, the 25th,
And then
26th?
that leaves, the only one that we didn't talk about was land use, what you guys, if you have a plan for the next meeting.
Yeah,
We're discussing it currently.
I believe we do wish to move it.
Yeah, we are planning to reschedule.
To a Tuesday time?
A Tuesday time.
Okay. And as long as we get it noticed, we'll have it out and it'll be noticed on the same Friday, so that's good.
You're
Thank
doing
you.
admin and finance at
7:30, unless you want to do yours then.
Councilmember Davis?
Yes,
Yeah, just back on the solid waste.
Yes.
Is it okay if maybe you give us just maybe like till Wednesday or something to look and make changes, just a
Yeah.
few more days before we send it to Dennison?
yeah, can we send it to him, how about next Monday? Would that be enough time for
You
him to read it?
send it to me when it's ready to send it on, and then I will send it on to him.
Okay,
That'll be okay?
that would give everybody the week, through the weekend?
Yeah,
Okay.
just to look at it, I just wanna,
Okay.
print it out and look
Okay.
at it.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
And if you have any edits, please,
The only one I had was for you last night, but I'll look through it again.
okay, and I tried to put that in there. Okay, so, perfect.
Any other questions for Public Works? The other thing that I want to do is, as we go back to the agenda, you may notice that there's a new E under the council workers section, opportunity to introduce an additional items for future discussion. While it was my feeling that, and that's when we threw all this below the fold stuff on, was so that council could, via committees, could do that. But I did attend, Bridger's, council meeting, last week as they were doing their fire annexation. And I noticed that this was one of the items they had on there. And I will say that I did add this to the agenda in response to, Councilmember Rood's email about the training. I thought, I want to make sure this council and every other council in the future knows that council has, because one of the challenges we've always had is council can put anything on the agenda they want, whether the mayor wants it there or not, by 4 affirmative votes. But the problem is, there was never any place on the agenda where you could do that. So we always, when I was on council, we'd sneak it into correspondence. And my goal is to make it very easy, so I just added that additional item. I just want to call attention to that. That's an opportunity for anybody on council to bring something up. Hey, I think we need to get some training.
Can't wait.
Or, so with that, is there anything that council would like to bring up that we haven't touched on via the committees?
No, I don't. I don't have anything.
Councilmember Davis, are you raising your hand?
Yes, I was just gonna say thank you for that addition, because during these conversations, other ideas get generated, yes, and so I always stutter in trying to get that question or, topic brought forward, so I really appreciate that. I think I'll find it very useful.
And I think next year, when we revisit our rules of procedures and stuff, where we talk about whether people have to put their addresses or not, we will have had a few months to try this out, and I think we can add that to that. Like I said, the goal is to not just protect council's role now, but into the future as well. So,
Thank you.
all right, correspondence. Still an item on there. Anything that anybody has from correspondence they want to add?
I didn't.
All right, hearing none, we will now go to public comment. So this is, again, the public's opportunity to address the council and be heard on anything within the council's purview. So I'll go ahead and open that. If you would please come forward to the podium and use your outside voices.
My trip, I started doing this. I'm Paula Wright. And we wrote a letter of intent to, request the easement or, deed or land transfer for our encroachment. And the purpose of the letter of intent was for us to gather some information about how we go about to request this. What do we need to do? We did have the survey done, and that's been attached. I mean, I was kind of blindsided that this was being discussed tonight, because I started, from my research, it looked like it went to Public Works, so I went there first, and they said, oh, no, you need to go to land use. I go to land use, and they said, oh, no, you need to go to the city planner, and that my documents were supposed to go to the city planner. So Mr. Westwood took our documents at the land use meeting, and they were supposed to, I don't know what happened to him, because I spent 2.5 hours texting him in Yellowstone this weekend, and he could not find the documents, but he apparently found them and copied them. So anyhow, and I have let you know, I visited the city attorney today, and he has a copy of this also. So, as a letter of intent, we're looking for instruction, help, guidance. I'm assuming that this has not been done often in the city, where people are requesting easements or deeds or whatever for encroachment. So, that's what we need help with. We want to do our due diligence to get this resolved in whatever way it will be resolved, but we want to help make the right decisions.
When is this has been given to land use and planning, correct?
Correct. This is what?
I just make sure it's going to land use and planning.
And that's all that's happened at this point. I will,
no, excuse me, you just said that city council was going to do this.
land use and planning is the subcommittee of city council that.
I went to city council, I went to land use, and they said, no, it goes to the city planner, and now, I thought your decision now is that city council was going to bring it up. Take it up.
I mean, I'm gonna exercise my executive privilege here a little bit.
Okay, I need explanation.
So you brought it to Public Works.
Mm-hmm.
At that meeting, Public Works gave the hard copy. By the way, I would still like an electronic copy. My request is, do you have an electronic copy?
I emailed you it
So, okay, but that was.
from Yellowstone this weekend.
But on Friday, what we had was a hard copy which came out blue when we photocopied it. So that was the extent of that conversation. So, having said that, the purpose of just putting it on the agenda tonight is I had several people reach out to me and say, are we gonna take it up or are we not gonna take it up? So the only thing on the agenda tonight was what is the council's pleasure? Do they want to take it up or not? So now that it's there, things go to one of the individual standing committees. In this case, it's land use and planning, and so I would coordinate with them. They are going to be, there's going to be a time that's yet to be decided. But you've got 3 council members on land use and planning. You've got Mr. Battles, you've got, Tupin and Councilmember Daniels, so 2 of those 3 are here. I anticipate they will probably have this on the agenda at that meeting. They will sit down and start to answer some of the questions. So like I said, there is no action happening on this. This is just one of those, okay, I just want to make sure.
Well,
And then when they make a recommendation, they will bring it to council. And when it comes to council, it generally comes to council twice. Once in the second half of the meeting, which as you saw is much more casual, much more people express their concerns. And then the following meeting, it'll come up for action where we will take a formal action on it.
Okay. I misunderstood what you all just discussed.
Something good happened.
Well, I just misunderstood that. I thought you were saying the council's gonna take it up, and then when your executive action discussion, you said it's going back to land use.
They are council, they are part of council, so.
Okay.
It's good, Paula.
Okay, what do I need to do next?
I would say coordinate, and I think they have their contact information. We'll keep you posted when that meeting is.
Yeah,
And if I hear about when that meeting is being rescheduled, I will reach out and let you know that it's being scheduled as well.
I would appreciate that. I try to keep up on things, but it's not my,
This is a non-standard schedule because their normal meeting is on Memorial Day. Otherwise, I can tell you with certainty when it is right now, and they're still trying to put together a time on Tuesday to meet.
okay.
So 2 weeks from today, at some point during the day, it will be published no later than Friday, early afternoon, that it's happening. But I will try to remind, you might get 4 reminders, you might get 5 reminders. Lonnie might call in reminders.
I need help.
So, we
Thank
will
you.
do our very darndest to make sure you know, and then that's when the conversation starts. I know it sounds funny to say that's when the conversation starts, because we're having a conversation about starting the conversation, but that's what we had tonight, was a conversation about starting the conversation.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you, Paula. All right, back to, we are in public comment, looking to the chambers.
Thank you.
Hello again.
Hello.
Steve Smith, 517 North Hauser.
All right.
Thought I'd throw that in there. I want to just address the FERC filing with the PSC and all that. I would, Jody did a nice job of rehashing of what it's about, and it's about power for new data centers, which, and it's a political item. Some people are crazy about new data centers. Some people see issues with them. But this is clearly an issue around data centers. Data centers require more power, a lot of power. And where will the state get the power? The state doesn't have enough capacity with what it has now to power these centers. So what will they do? They will go out to the market, outside market, and buy more power. Do you think those rates are going to be good? I don't know, but I would say that rates going up is, for us, should this go through, is a likely possibility for you as a city council, for all of your constituents in this case. The PSC, which is going to be a big decision maker in all this, they are an interesting board, the way they're very political, the thing with Mr. Molinar and his
Making the news.
the black sheep of the group is interesting. Trusting the PSC is an interesting issue. They won't even tell us when the comment period ends. Well, it could go for 4 more months, or it could end tomorrow. We just, well, you know, we'll decide. Anyway, I think there's a lot of we need to have a lot of caution about this process. And I think it's great to take it to the Sustainability Board. My one concern is the time frame it's going to take for the Sustainability Board to act on this and then get back to you all for further action if the PSD decides to cut this off sooner than later. So I would just encourage the City Council to push the Sustainability Board, encourage the Sustainability Board to act as soon as they can to get back so you can make a response. I do think that a response from the city is going to be more effective than 7 individuals, citizens, even though you are city council members, making a statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Any other public comment? Looking for the chambers? Seeing no movement in the chambers, I'll look to online. Calling for public comment. Going twice. Third call for public comment. Hearing none, we will go ahead and close public comment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, and as we've covered everything on the agenda, meeting is adjourned.